Howdy! How's everybody out there in YouTube land today? I hope that you're doing well. I've been working my tail off on this quilt piece made out of wood veneer. And if you missed the first couple of episodes, I'll try to kind of bring you up to speed here real quick. What I did is I took a 12 by 12 piece of birch, 12 inch by 12 inch, and then I took some wood veneer, all different kinds of wood veneer. And get a little piece here and show you. Wood veneer is just a real thin piece of wood, and I chipped it up into quilt pieces. This is a zigzag pattern, what they call zigzag, and I cut squares for the middle of my blocks, and then each square is outlined with 4 of these rectangles, and in each corner you put a square piece. Now the squares here are 3 inch by 3 inch. The rectangles are 1 inch by 3 inch. And my corner pieces are 1 inch by 1 inch. And you just build on this. I started yesterday by gluing down. I used wood glue, regular old Elmer's wood glue, to glue this down. And if you watched yesterday's episode, you know that when I started in on this center section, I was having a little bit of a problem getting the veneer to stay down because it kept wanting to curl. So what I did is I had some paint jars and stuff here, and I'd set it down on the corners to keep it weighted down. And I gave that center section there a little bit to dry. I think it was about 3 hours before I come back and looked at it. And it was sticking down real good. Not a problem. It was good and flat. So at that point, I started building on my pattern, and I just kept going around in a circle on this, and it took me all day long because I built on a little bit, weighed it all down until I didn't have no room to work because of my weights and stuff, and I'd go away and leave it for a few hours. I'd come back, then I'd lift my weights off, and I'd come back and work on it some more, and until I got all the way out to the edge. Now, when you get out to the edge, you're going to have to cut some pieces. So what I did is I'd lay my piece in, and I'd hold it down good and flat with my finger. And then I'd push this off to the edge of the table where I could get a pin underneath it and mark the back side of it. And then I would take my scissors, and I'd cut it so that this part would be flush with the edge. And I'd glue it in, and I'd weight it down. And I did that all around the edge for all the pieces, all the way around the edge of this, until I got it all glued down good and tight to the board. And these are good and tight. They ain't going nowhere. There's nothing lifting on it. It's good and solid. But now, it did take a good amount of glue to do this. This is a 4-ounce bottle. And I used about 1/3 of a 4-ounce bottle on this. So it used quite a bit of glue to glue it down. I did not go sparing with the glue because I want this to stay to the board. Now, after I got all that done on it, there was places where there was some glue that it oozed out around the edges that I didn't get wiped off good and clean as I was putting it down. I tried really hard to make sure that when I glued pieces down, if there was any glue oozing out, that I wiped it off good, but still, I mean, there was a lot of gluing that went on here with this. So what I did is I came in with my softest sandpaper, and this is cloth sandpaper. It's made by a company called Abranet. This is 400, and it's very, very soft sandpaper, and it is a cloth sandpaper. I like this stuff because it just lasts forever. It's great stuff to have around. It's a little pricey, but it's not like regular sandpaper where, you know, it wears out. This stuff, it'll last you a lifetime. It's great. So I took this, and then I just went over my seams with it, and I sanded all my seams real good. Any place there looked like there was some glue, and got it all off of there real good. Then, after I was satisfied with that, I came back in with a paintbrush, and I brushed all that dust off of it. Then I came in with a little bit of alcohol on a paper towel. That's my tack cloth. And I just wiped it down real good with that to get any dust, debris, anything that was on there off of it. Now it's ready to finish. And there's different ways that you can finish it. You can just spray it with Krylon if that's what you want to do. I'm going to go a different route. I've got this ice resin. And I've used some of this on projects in the past. I still have a good amount of it here. And it may take more than one coat. But we're going to find out. If you get one of these packs, it has these little handy dandy cups in it that you can mix this stuff up in. And this is self-leveling. And let me get my cup back in there. I only need one. Of course, more than one wouldn't come out, wouldn't it? So we'll stick that back in there. We're going to need one of these little paddles to stir it with. And there's the little paddle. And I'm going to want some gloves on for this party. So let me find my gloves. Here they are. And we'll get some rubber gloves on for this, because I don't want to get that resin on my hands. But you want your surface to be dust-free when you go at this, because you do not want any dust mixed in with your resin. And that's why I went to such great pains to make sure that I had this cleaned off real good to resin it. But you put a coat on, and then if there's any discrepancies in it, you know, where it didn't cover the way you want it to, then you have to go back in and put another coat on it. Sometimes it takes as many as 3 coats, but we're going to find out here. Now, we got to start with part A. And I got part A in a bottle. You don't shake this stuff up because you don't want to get a bunch of air bubbles in it. We're going to mix a total of 2 ounces of this. Be 1 ounce of the A and 1 ounce of the B. And you got to get it equal parts. These little cups have graduation on the side of them there to show you what your level is. So we'll go until we get 1 ounce of it in the cup. Still got a ways to go. Okay, that looks like 1 ounce to me. Now, we'll get the lid back on that and set that off to the side, and we'll get the part B. That one flows a little faster, so there we go with part B. Now we got part A and part B. That's all you need. Now you got to stir it. That's what the little stick is for. So we got to stir this until it's all stirred together. And it takes a few minutes to get it stirred up, but you got to have it stirred totally together. No separations in it at all. It's all got to be mixed in. So take your time. Make sure you get it off the sides and get it all stirred together. You can tell by looking at it, you see streaks and stuff in it where it's not all mixed up. I stir one way and then stir the other. Just keep mixing until it's all mixed in together. That's the thing about art, you know, you can't rush the process. You just gotta take your time with it. And doing one of these is not a fast project. You got to take your time, get it all glued down and weighted down, and just take your time with it. Just because you're not seeing the entire process here on YouTube. You know, I started you out yesterday. I showed you, you know, that gluing it down is a job because you got to make sure that it's going to stick to the board. Okay, I think I got it mixed in there pretty good. So we're just going to start pouring it. Pour it all over the board. And I may need to mix up some more of it. I'm just going to start pouring it all out, get it all out of the cup, scraped out on here, and then we'll go to pushing it around. All right. Now take the little spatula and just push it all the way to the corners. And I may have to put more on it. But we're going to start where we're at. Just move it around all the way to the edge. Just make sure that it's all pushed out. That stuff's thick, 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 and that's the idea. It's not supposed to go on like water. It's supposed to go on thick like syrup. Now I'm going to turn it a little bit. So I don't get my sleeves in it as I'm working. That's a mistake. Get your sleeves in it, roll around in it like Burr Rabbit and the Tar Baby. Anybody remember that story? You can leave me something in the comments. Let me know if you remember that story. My mom and dad used to read that to me when I was a kid. They'd read me storybooks before I got big enough to learn to read. And I always remember the story of Burr Rabbit and the Tar Baby. Burr Rabbit was trying to make friends on his way down the road, and somebody wanted to catch Burr Rabbit. And I said, hey, if I put a tar baby out here, I bet you I can catch that rabbit. So Burr Rabbit's going down the road, and he saw the tar baby in the field. And he says, well, hello, Mr. Tar Baby. Of course, you know, Tar Baby didn't say nothing back. And he says, I said, hello, Mr. Tar Baby. And Tar Baby still didn't say nothing back because Tar Babies can't talk. He says, hello, Mr. Tar Baby. Tar Baby didn't say nothing back. So he goes up and he pokes him. He says, hey, Mr. Tar Baby, I said hello to you. Well, his paw was stuck to the Tar Baby. So he took his other paw to try to get loose and poked Tar Baby on the other side with his other paw, and that paw got stuck. So now he's got two paws stuck. So he takes his back leg and he sticks that up there and tries to pull his paws loose with some leverage with his back leg, and he gets his back leg stuck, and then he uses his other back leg. Of course, he gets that stuck too, and so all of his paws are stuck to the Tar Baby. And I don't remember how the rest of it goes, but I do remember old Burr Rabbit getting stuck to the Tar Baby. If any of you remember how that story goes, you can tell me how it ends. Burr Rabbit, he's having a heck of a time there at the Tar Baby. We'll keep spreading this out. I'm going to need more because I'm not able to get it all out to the edge over there on that side, but we'll come over here and spread this side around some. It's going off my mat a little bit here. Get that up off of my table. Right there in the middle. I'll try to scrape some of that out here to the edge. Smooth it out some. Smooth it out, smooth it out. Take my little spatula there where I striped it some and smooth that out. Now this is self-leveling, so wherever it zap a little bit, it'll smooth itself out. But it's not thick enough yet on there. Maybe clear out here to the corner. Let's pull it down. Get it all over. I want at least a slight coating on everything. So we'll pull it on down there to the corner. Trying to keep it under the camera so you can see what I'm doing. I'm getting this all coated down here. This corner was not coated at all. There we go. All right. On this edge, maybe a little bit more. Up in here. Just kind of trying to get in the light here to see any spots that show me that they don't have any covering on them. Get it at least coated one time. Now on the edge, need it a little bit. Maybe a little more right there. Just tease it over the spots a little bit. Okay, now that's one coat. It's coated one time. I'm going to let that dry before I go back in and try to put any more on it. If I see any little spots that look like I got air bubbles, I want to try to pop them off of it. Don't need air bubbles in it. Try to have it as air bubble free as possible. And that's looking pretty good to me for first coat. I know it's going to need more. That's not a heavy enough coat on it. But boy, it's shining. I know you can't really tell it on the camera, but it's shining like a new penny. And that's the way I want it. It needs to look like a floor with a fresh coat of wax on it. And that's what it's looking like. And I'm tickled pink with the way it's turning out. You can use any quilt pattern. I started out with something simple here, you know, as a beginner level to show you how to do this. But you can make all kinds of intricate patterns. There's all kinds of really cool free quilt patterns on the internet, and you just take them, you figure it out. I went by the fact that I'm doing a 12 by 12 board, and I decided that my center needed to be 3 inches because 3 is 1/4 of 12. Okay, if your board was 15 inches, you would either go with a 3 or a 5 inch. You know, that's where your math skills come in handy, is to know what your divisions are into whatever size board. If you had, well, like this is a 12 inch, you could go with a 3 inch or a 6 inch piece. If you went with a 6 inch piece, it'd take up way more room, and your design is not going to show up as pretty. As the smaller the size of your designs or your squares in your design, the bolder your pattern is going to look. The more work you're going to have in it, because you're going to have way more little pieces that you got to put in. But your piece is going to be prettier in the long run. You have to really take your time when you're cutting this stuff out too. I use scissors. I had somebody recommend to me that I use a utility knife. A utility knife was making this veneer chip too much to suit me. The scissors, if my scissors were good and sharp, and if I went at it, not necessarily really slow, but not really fast either. You had to really watch your speed with the scissors as you cut it, because if you went too fast or you went too slow, it was going to chip out the veneer too much. So you kind of have to develop your cutting skills with veneer. Now, I know Shelly is going to try to do something similar to this with the sawdusto that she makes, where she takes the sawdust and mixes it into glue. And I may try that down the pipe too when I get my hands on some sawdust. I'm out of sawdust right now. But you can do it with that. You can even do it. You can do it with fabric if you want to do it with fabric. You can do it with paper. You can do it with all different kinds of things. It doesn't have to be wood veneer. Wood veneer is not a forgiving medium. I'll tell you that right now, because there's no seam allowances to this. There's no stretch to it. It is what it is. And if you're off a little bit with your cutting, if you're off a little bit with laying down your design, it's going to show. So just telling you, you know, it is what it is. And I'm not going to say this is perfect, not by a long shot. I mean, you can look at it same as I can and see where I'm off with the pattern and laying it down here on the board. But as far as I'm concerned, that's part of the beauty of the whole thing, because wood veneer is a natural product. It is wood, and wood is nature, and nothing in nature is perfect. So, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, there you have it. So with that being said, I'll remind you again, check out my Etsy store, my Patreon page, check out my Twitch channel. I'll be doing a live there at 3 o'clock today, 3 Eastern time today. And I'll be doing stenciling on that show. And let's see, what else? I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I have a PayPal if you want to donate so that I can keep buying supplies to do these nice crafts for you. And with all that being said, I guess there's only one thing left to say, and that's Brenda's Crafty. Be like Brenda. I'll be back tomorrow and show you a little bit more on this piece as we finish it up. Bye now.